A cold, dreary Tuesday afternoon, but a rock star arrived out at Islip. There he is, winner of 6 straight. The one and only American Pharoah led off a Tex Sutton flight out on the east end of Long Island, shipped west, and he arrived at Belmont Park in the rain. But even though the weather was a little on the inclement side, there was quite a big throng of media, along with the watchful eye of trainer Bob Baffert and American Pharoah. The Derby and Preakness winner settled down into barn number 1, adjacent to Hempstead Turnpike. A quick 7 or 8 laps around the shed row with Bob Baffert on the shank, and American Pharoah was in the stall, and he had time for a little snack. That looked good. Boy, did it look good. All right, we are off and running on what has become an MSG Plus tradition. Every Belmont Stakes week, it is the Belmont Stakes Draw Show. We're delighted to have you with us here on MSG Plus. Jason Blewitt, Maggie Wolfendale is alongside, and there is nothing like the Belmont Stakes, and that gets intensified, Maggie, when there's a Triple Crown on the line.
That it does, Jay. A lot of people going to come out and witness possible history here. I mean, it's been so long going back to Affirmed, and we're looking for that elusive third jewel here with the Belmont Stakes. It's a true test of a champion, and American Pharoah, does he have the goods? Destiny
awaits. We'll see what the story is. I think the last bit of predictability will end when they go in the starting gate at 10 to 7 p.m. here Saturday afternoon. They'll spring the latch, a field of 8. 7, in fact, will face American Pharoah, who here on the first Saturday in May gave Bob Baffert his 4th Kentucky Derby win.
Now, for some critics, this race was a bit anticlimactic for the post-time Derby favorite, American Pharoah here. He had to work for this win here, Jay, but it's not like he had everything his own way. He was tired chasing those horses on the outside, but boy, when the skies opened there at Pimlico, well, you knew he was going to have things his own way. He just thrives in the slop here as we see him skipping and over the surface and drawing away to win by 7, and Bob Baffert saying this was one of the most impressive Preakness victories for him and that he's seen.
And I think the good news, aside from the fact American Pharoah obviously was winning the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, which can set him up for an unprecedented sweep in nearly 40 years, the fact that American Pharoah, once he got back to Churchill Downs, which has been pretty much his home base throughout these last few weeks of the Triple Crown, he has not missed a beat. It sounds like he is bright, energetic, and very enthusiastic regarding his training.
Completely, and even the same can be said here at Belmont for his first jog or trip around the track here today, Jay. He was accompanied by the stable pony Smokey, ridden by assistant trainer Jimmy Barnes, and they actually had to call an audible training him today. They were just going to jog back to 3/8 pole, jog back home, but he was so sharp and so cranked up that they actually took him the full 1.5 miles. So it looks as though he has not missed a beat since his Preakness win.
And he bounced off Big Sandy to his stall. His trainer, in the meantime, along with thousands, attended 30 Rock, as we had the post position draw for the 147th running of the Belmont Stakes. 8 will go to the post on Saturday, gunning for that top prize of $1.5 million in the 3rd longest and oldest leg of the Triple Crown at 1.5 miles, 1 lap over this gargantuan main track at beautiful Belmont Park. This, Maggie, will be the shortest Belmont Stakes field since 7 challenged Big Brown when he was going for the Triple Crown back in 2008.
Yes, we've had 2 defections. I mean, we obviously don't see Carpe Diem up there, so Todd Pletcher will send out his 2, but I think a very good draw for American Pharoah. He's going to be number 5 in here. I think that's where he needs to be, and we'll see. There's a little bit of speed on his outside with materiality. So it'll be interesting to see how they play things out. But really, all things looking good as far as the draw is concerned.
And Bob Baffert still looks good. No worse for the wear. Nearly 5 weeks into this Triple Crown of 2015, and he caught up with our own Richard Migliori out at 30 Rock.
Trainer of American Pharoah. Bob, I'm just struck by how relaxed you seem. You really didn't seem like you have a worry in the world.
Well, I don't have to ride him or run myself, but I feel like the horse is, he's coming to this race in good shape, and I think that there's nothing really, I can do to really change anything. I mean, I like what I see. He worked really well his last 2 and shipped into Belmont. He looked great on the track today, so we just have to wait. It's day to day, so, I mean, today we've just been we've had a good day every day since the spring, so that's really makes a difference.
One thing that struck me, too, is that you said that he's actually gained weight since the Preakness. It's kind of unusual for the kind of Triple Crown grind he's had.
Well, I mean, he didn't gain a lot of weight, just like 9 pounds. But, I mean, point given, I think he gained about 40 pounds. He was a different he was a beast. But this horse just seems to, you can tell he's been running, but he's always been sort of a lean horse anyway. But his body language is really, he's shown me that in his works that he's really doing well, and he's happy. And as long as if you watch him run, he runs when he's happy. He really enjoys running. So all I can do is just keep him going.
It seems to me like his stride is just so efficient. I mean, he almost moves like a cat. You have to have been taken with that from when he was very young.
Well, you know what? I've noticed that, like, anytime when you walk next to him, I have to walk really fast, and because he's got a really long stride. When he walks, he drops his head. He's like, he strides like a stride and a half more than any other horse, and but he's quick. And actually, Pioneer of the Nile had a big, long stride, but just wasn't as quick as him. And so, and he's a good size. So I think he's growing. I think he's going through a little growth spurt right now, and I can tell he's getting taller. And so, but the way he's got a really long, but his stride is ridiculously efficient. And I think that's what you need for the Belmont. You need to get out there and get in a nice movement, the way he moves, and I think the Belmont should be set up really great for him.
You've done just about everything there is to do. You're in the Hall of Fame. You've won all the Triple Crown events, but what would it mean? Is there any way to articulate what it would mean to win a Triple Crown?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, it's I really thought Real Quiet had won it, and it's a different feeling, the Triple Crown. It's really, I don't feel like it's like, I think it's more about the horse, because when you talk about Triple Crowns, it's always Secretariat, Seattle Slew, Affirmed. It's the horse, and I think I'm just in a position where I got really lucky that this horse happened to end up in my stable, and I have not made him any faster. I've just he's just given us a thrill to be. I'm just along for the ride. So, and I think he's a deserving champion. I've never come in here with a two-year-old champion. So there's a lot of different things, and so the reason I feel so relaxed is the vibe has been really positive. All spring and all the races, and so the only bad thing that happened was when we drew the one in the Preakness. That was sort of like, I thought, well, maybe the parade is over, but as long as he still has to break cleanly and getting his rhythm, and so it's all about getting his rhythm and the pace. The pace is going to make the race, so we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, Bob, it's been great to be along for this ride with you, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Bob Baffert, not his first rodeo, enshrined in racing's Hall of Fame. In a way, a modern era Ben Jones and three-year-olds have, for the most part, been his claim to fame. It does seem like Bob is maybe a bit more modest, though. Maybe a bit more grown up, for lack of a better term, this go-round.
I mean, you go back to his interviews when Real Quiet and Silver Charm were going to do it, and he was boastful. He went out there and said, "This is me, pay attention to me," kind of thing. And now he's really making it about the horse. He's just become a lot more humble. He's a lot more lighthearted, it seems as though, which is refreshing to see from Bob here. And it also gives you a positive feeling about the horse, because there's no smoke screen, it seems as though, that's going on, that he's worried about something. He's just, hey, this horse is something special. I've seen it in him, and I'm just forever grateful to have him. And you can see how he just glides, and he really does have an extra bit of length to his stride compared to a lot of other horses.
Just look how nimble he is. Just skips over the main track, smooth as silk, and that was his final workout, pre-Belmont Stakes workout on Monday, that once again earned rave reviews. So again, there has been no lost shine there with American Pharaoh, who's sitting on go, as is his jockey Victor Espinoza in his third try at a Triple Crown.
Now, you were here just a year ago with California Chrome. Can you believe that just a year later you have this opportunity again, this amazing opportunity?
No, but I'm here again. I come here twice, and I'm feeling lucky this year. Third time's the charm, huh? All right, Bob?
You were here with War Emblem as well a number of years ago. Can you compare at all American Pharaoh and California Chrome?
No, they're two different horses. They both have tremendous talent, but all different. And American Pharoah, he's always special. So the first time Buffett put me on, it was special.
Your experiences last year, obviously you've been here where I'm as well. Have you learned anything from it, or are you approaching it pretty much the same way?
Yeah, I'm learning not to lose this time.
Always smiling, a man that may find himself in the Hall of Fame after winning yet another Kentucky Derby and Preakness earlier in the spring. And I like the fact that on Saturday, before the Belmont, he'll be riding the card, including that mile-and-a-half Brooklyn.
Yeah, going as race number 6. He'll have experience all the way up to a couple hours before the Belmont of riding this mile-and-a-half oval. He's going to be aboard Sky Kingdom, who actually his last win came in his last start for Bob Baffert, going a mile-and-a-half at Santa Anita. So maybe he can look for the mile-and-a-half double this coming Saturday.
That would be something for sure. Now, 7 stand in the way of American Pharoah. He's been impressive, but there's some talented 3-year-olds set to line up in the starting gate. Among them, the TwinSpires.com Wood winner, Frosted the Gray for Keir McLaughlin. We'll talk about the challengers when we come back here on MSG+.
The winning jockey, Joel Rosario. His second win of the afternoon, Frosted bred in.
Much like this draw show on MSG+, here is another Belmont Stakes tradition. We have got the 11 prior Triple Crown champions, an exclusive club commemorated in the infield at Belmont Park. We've said it before, we'll say it again as Jason Blewitt and Maggie Wolfendale continue to join you on MSG+. It'd be nice to make it an even 12 once and for all.
It really would be, Jay. I would like to see it in my lifetime, to be honest. It hasn't happened since the 70s. And, I mean, looking back, those people in the 70s thought it was too easy. Well, we'll see if American Pharoah makes it look easy here this Saturday.
All right, 6:50 p.m. post time. Race will be on NBC. It is the highlight of a Saturday card, but challengers do stand in the way of American Pharoah. We run the races because they don't pay out off paper, and Keir McLaughlin is our first trainer up regarding his entrant in the form of the Gray Frosted. He's a colt by Tappet, and he had a huge bandwagon during his 2-year-old season and won the Wood back in April.
I still think he has a bandwagon now as the possible upsetter of American Pharoah. I mean, I've always thought that the longer this horse goes, the better he will get in distance, and he's, since the throat surgery, since everything they've changed with him, Keir McLaughlin and his crew, this horse seems to be firing on all cylinders. His breeze here last Friday, I thought, was the best of everybody else except American Pharoah, and I think he poses a real threat. He's my pick as an upsetter, though I obviously want American Pharoah to win.
A couple of common themes looking at Frosted and last year's Belmont Stakes winner, Tonalist, who's running on the undercard in the Metropolitan. Joel Rosario rode Tonalist. He'll be aboard Frosted, and both horses are by the $300,000 leading stallion in all of the world, the mighty Tappet. Let's move on to trainer Todd Pletcher. Todd knows what it takes to win this race. Well, he's won 7 consecutive Eclipse Awards. He's got a couple Belmont Stakes wins on his resume, and he has got, among his 2 horses, recent winner of the Peter Pan, a horse by the name of Made from Lucky.
And Todd has said it himself. This horse is an out-and-out grinder. And, I mean, he kind of said that about Commissioner last year, and he was second in the Belmont. So he finds these horses, and he's usually right about them. He knows which ones will be able to stand the grueling mile-and-a-half distance. And I've never been the biggest fan of Made from Lucky, but he's earned his right to be here, Jay.
We'll see if he can pull the Tonalist Peter Pan to Belmont Stakes move. Materiality, very game and determined, gutting out the victory in the Florida Derby. He seems like the trip handicapper's horse dropping out of the Kentucky Derby, in which he ran well after having just all sorts of trouble.
Now, he hasn't done any running in New York, so I'm wondering how he's going to handle the track. Though his breezes seem to be good, a lot of the critics say maybe not quite as good as earlier this year, but he showed that, you know, a lack of seasoning, it really didn't matter that much when you look at his Derby performance and the trouble that he encountered, and was still able to finish up 5th in the Derby, or 6th. So I think he's a very logical horse, and he's coming in here fresh as opposed to American Pharoah.
He'll have the 5 weeks. He's by a Belmont winner and a Fleet Alex, and he's got a winner in the irons in John Velasquez, who's with the MIG.
With Johnny Velasquez, the rider of Materiality. Johnny, you're undefeated on Materiality. You didn't ride him in the Derby. He had a tough trip. He does have speed. Do you think you'll be on the lead, or you think you'll be stuck in American Pharoah?
I'm not sure, but I'm definitely going to come out of there and make sure he breaks well out of there and get my position where he's happy. And I think, worst that he should be second, third, going to the first run. I don't think he's fast enough to be head-and-head with American Pharoah, but that would be the thing to follow anyway, the horse to follow anyway.
How do you make the decision when to go after American Pharoah if you're the one stalking him?
Here's the thing. I don't want to sacrifice myself either. I don't want to do the dirty job and sacrifice my horse to try to get him beat early in the race. I definitely like to save my horse for the last part of the race, and hopefully I have enough to fight with him down the lane. I think my horse definitely can handle the long distance anyway, and see if I have enough to fight down the lane.
Is it a concern that it's only Materiality's fifth start and maybe he doesn't have as much foundation as some of the other horses?
Listen, the only reason I picked the other horse against Materiality going to the Derby because the other horse had more experience and it had more foundation to it, I think. But he has shown that he's not seasoned enough to be in the race, or at least in the Derby. It seems like in the Derby when he came in, he actually ran really well off the pace and came running. And the only horse that looked like it was closing at the Derby was him, so hopefully that'll be the case for the mile and a half.
Well, Johnny, you've won 2 Belmonts. Good luck at it, number 3.
Thank you very much.
He's a man that leads by example. He looked pretty dapper at 30 Rock today with the shades and that custom-made suit, or a suit I speculate is being custom-made. Fit Johnny pretty well, and I'm a little bit jealous. But he's got 2 Belmont Stakes titles on his resume, but he did kind of allude to the balancing act at this tricky mile and a half distance.
Right, and he said that, he's going to ride his race, and that's paid off for him in the past as well with Union Rags and Rags to Riches in here. And so he knows how to win a Belmont, which I find essential. I think he drew very, very well towards the outside with Materiality. That was, I think, his main problem going back to the Derby. I think he's in a much better position, especially with not 20 horses, 19 horses in the starting gate. So I like Materiality, and Johnny gets back aboard, and we'll see how he does.
From post 8, he'll round out the field to the South African entrant on the rail. That is Mubtahij. He caused quite a stir on that Dubai World Cup undercard in this dominating win in the UAE Derby. You don't see too many horses from that World Cup card come back to compete in the Kentucky Derby. He did just that, running 8th, and he has been training here at Belmont Park. And we'll use the word training because it seems like, Maggie, he's going out every 3 to 4 days with the timed workout.
He is breezing pretty much, as you said, Jay, every other day, if not every other 2. So he's got the fitness. He's got the foundation for a mile and a half type horse. He's not that big. I mean, you think of having to train horses that are big and kind of stuffy and carry a lot of weight that hard, but he's very small, so I find it very interesting. Obviously, we're used to seeing American trainers prep their horses. We're not used to seeing a South African trainer prep his horse for an American Classic, so I find it very interesting what they've done with him. They're often walking him around for at least half an hour after he trains, so Mike DeCock, he knows his horse well. Does he know an American Classic well is the question.
And he now knows Andy Serling as we send it back to 30 Rock.
How about the mile and a half? How do you feel about that, as well as your post position? Can you talk about both of them a little bit?
I don't think mile and a half is a problem at all. He's by Dubai. There's a lot of stamina in that family. He's the way he won the Derby in Dubai. That's not going to be an issue. I think the distance at all. I'm not bad about one pole. He did win from one draw in Dubai. I'd rather be on the outside, to be honest. But there's 8 horses, so. We've got a rider that knows his way around the track. Again, you've got to leave. You've got to leave to the rider. At the end of the day, he knows his way around.
Belmont Stakes has produced a couple of up-and-coming young riders to victories in the past. I think of Alan Garcia with the Tara back in 08, Fernando Har aboard the Kier McLaughlin-trained Jazzle back in 06. And we'll see how Irad Ortiz Jr. does aboard Mubtahij from that inside post. Next to him will be Taylor Verve, I think a horse that has really caught your eye over the last week at Belmont for Dallas Stewart.
Really here, Jay. I mean, this seems to be a classic Dallas. A horse breaks his maiden after several tries. All of a sudden, he's in the Preakness or the Derby, and he runs a huge second. We'll see if that Preakness second was the real deal, or if he was flattered by a sloppy track. But looking at him here in the mornings, Jay, I would have to say no. I mean, he is a big, good-looking horse, a huge stride, really well within himself. Nothing really bothers him either. They've been galloping him a mile and a half, if not 2 miles every day. He grazes out there with Dallas after he's done in the mornings, and he looks fantastic. He's the one that's caught my eye the most.
And he'll pick up off that big runner-up finish in the slot behind American Pharoah, the one and only, the icon Gary Stevens, who owns no less than 3 Belmont Stakes titles. To his credit, we'll see if he can make some noise against the Derby and Preakness winner at the Palace, at a terrific undercard supporting the big cast here on Saturday. Welcome back to this Belmont Stakes Day draw show on MSG Plus. And looking ahead, Saturday, June 6th, Belmont Stakes Day 147. We will pump up that guaranteed pick 5 minimum to a $500,000. That gets underway with the 3-year-olds in the first race, the Easy Goer, and a post time of 11:35 a.m. A $250,000 guaranteed pick 3 that gets underway with race number 3, and we move full steam ahead. That $1 million guaranteed pick 6 that gets underway with race number 6, and last but not least, the $1.5 million guaranteed pick 4 that commences with the Belmont Stakes. Looking forward to that. Glad you're with us in the home stretch. It is Maggie and Jason on a gorgeous but dark Wednesday afternoon at Belmont Park. Let's talk about the undercard, Maggie. You've got the 5 supporting Grade 1s, outstanding fields, some of the best in a number of divisions, and Tonalist, last year's Belmont winner, will try to stay perfect on the year in the Met Mile.
As I like to say, Tonalist is the unofficial king of Belmont, as he's undefeated here at Big Sandy, and he looked good in this comeback race here, Jay, the Westchester, and he proved that he can handle a mile. He's not that tactically challenged and not that slow anymore, and like I said, he's grown immensely. I like him a lot, but boy, he has some tough competition lining up in the gate with him.
All right, number 4, Tonalist. He is your morning line favorite with Hall of Famer Johnny V at 5-2. John Velasquez, coincidentally, rode Powis Mowis to victory in the Metropolitan a year ago, and the Naira.com Met Mile going as race number 9 on the card. Race number 10, it is the traditional prelude to the Belmont Stakes, the Grade 1 $1 million Manhattan, and a key rematch off the Man of War in the month of May.
I thought these two guys put on a great show here. War Dancer going second time out for Belmont, as well as Twilight Eclipse, who was the kind of emotional favorite here as he finally got his Grade 1 win, and it was well deserved. He's tried and run hard and run into the likes of Main Sequence, just to name one name, but the Manhattan is lined up to be a great field, you know, to be a test of some horses being a bit distance challenged and just some being in great form, which includes Finnegan's Wake coming in from California by way of Churchill Downs.
Right, second choice, 4-1, a half a point behind Twilight Eclipse on Eric Donovan's morning line. Moving on to the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps. Here is your shortest price favorite, I would have to say, in all the stakes, including perhaps American Pharoah in the Belmont, last year's 3-year-old filly champion, untappable, who's got John Velasquez for Steve Asterson.
And Jay, she's been training here a good while. She got here a couple weeks ago, to be honest, and I like that move here from Steve Asmussen and his crew, and she's just a phenomenal filly as she gets things rolling once again in her 4-year-old campaign. Had a win coming into this one at Oaklawn, so I like what I see from her.
Few challengers. She'll face just 5. She's 2-5. She'll be the chalk player's darling in the Grade 1 $700 or $1 million Ogden Phipps at a mile and a 16th over Big Sandy. Bigger field in the 3-year-old filly Acorn, a Grade 1, big-time purse, and Condo Commando, I think, Maggie, the biggest question with the Gazelle winner back in April, can she rebound off a non-effort at Churchill Downs?
That's the non-effort if I've ever seen one here, Jay. She just had nothing. There was no gas left in the tank at the quarter pole here. The thing is, though, is she's gotten races her own way in previous efforts, so she has a full field here, and there's still some other pace here on paper, so it's not going to be an easy task for her, and I think there's a lot of other ways you can go as she'll break right in the middle of the field with post 7.
It's a real grab bag. Horses from all over the country, including your morning line favorite for Steve Asmussen in the form of Shook Up, who was second behind Amma Chatterbox in the Fairgrounds Oaks and is coming out of a 26-to-1 runner-up finish in the Kentucky Oaks. Let's get on to the girls and the Longines Just a Game. Coffee Click trying to win this race 2 consecutive years for Brian Lynch. Here's her her upset win a year ago.
Yeah, that's right. And she has yet to win a race here in 2015. She's a talented filly. I mean, she's hardly ever been off the board. But she's going to have to face Lady Laura, who took her down 2 starts ago, as well as Tepin, who defeated her by a length and a half in the Distaff Turf Mile there at Churchill Downs.
All right, so that'll wrap up that 10-horse field, and the Longines Just a Game, a world-class group of fillies and mares that has become a can't-miss stop regarding that division heading towards the summertime. I'd say over the last decade, it's now got Grade 1 status. It's got a huge $750,000 purse, and we are set for a very big, huge day at Belmont Park. BelmontStakes.com for those tickets. They can't be missed.
Yes, there's still some left, right around 19,000, I believe, so make sure you get your tickets if you haven't done so yet. I don't think they'll be available here on race day, so you have to get them today, tomorrow, or Friday. But we're looking forward to everybody coming out, and hopefully we'll have a great day. There is a 30% chance of showers, but I don't think American Pharoah is complaining about that.
No, I don't think so either. But the forecast, as we've gotten closer to Belmont Stakes Day, has improved, it seems, with each passing afternoon. And we'll take our chances with that 30% chance of rain. We appreciate you joining us on this Belmont Stakes Draw Show. We say best of luck to last year's 2-year-old champion in the Test of the Champion on Saturday. For Maggie and myself, thanks again for joining us, and have a great Belmont Stakes Day.